Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in for another video review. Today I am going to compare and contrast the Eberhart Signature Saddle with the Treehopper Recon. I'm excited about both of these saddles. They're both excellent. I'm going to lay them out on the table here and talk you guys through some of the specifications of both of them and allow you to see them side by side. Both of these designs are based off of the old Anderson Tree Sling, and contrary to some stuff that's floating around there on the internet, one of them is not based off the other. They were both released within the last year. I believe the Treehopper in January, the Eberhart Signature Saddle less than a month ago, but they've both been in production for quite some time. So they functioned and were built independently of one another. So here we go. Okay, so I've got both saddles laid out here, and I'm just going to kind of talk my way through the features and compare and contrast them and tell you which one I think has an advantage in each of the categories or features that we talk through. So to get started, let me just point out that the ESS is a one-size-fits-all model. It's supposed to fit 28 to 44 inch waists. The Recon comes in three different sizes. I have a small here. It's supposed to be up to 34 inch waists. Their regular is from 34 to 44, and then they have a large, which is for bigger than 44. So they're sized differently. The ESS, when it's spread out from the tip of the panel to the tip of the panel, is 34.5 inches long. The Recon, now keep in mind this is a small, the regular would probably be a better comparison, but I don't have a regular. The panel length on the Recon is 28 inches, so 6-inch difference between the two, but they're probably closer if you had the regular. There's a big weight difference between these two saddles. The ESS on my scale weighs 30 ounces. I think they have it listed at 32. The Recon on my scale weighs 20 to 21 ounces, somewhere in there. So the ESS is almost 50% heavier than the Recon. Now if you had the regular, you'd probably add a couple ounces, but as far as weight goes, the Recon wins big time because it is significantly lighter. Let's keep looking on this side here. We'll talk about the bridge on each saddle. So the bridge on the ESS is a webbing bridge. It is a permanently attached bridge. It's sewn in on the one side, and then on the other side it uses a tri-glide to make adjustments. So to make adjustments, you simply just slide some in, pull it out. You can gain some length to shorten it. You kind of got to work them both up and then work the bottom out at the same time. So you can make adjustments on the fly in the tree. It's not the quickest thing in the world, but it is there. The ESS's bridge can go out to 31 inches long, so keep that in mind. Moving over to the Recon's bridge is a tubular webbing bridge rated for 4,000 pounds. I'm not sure of the strength weighting on this webbing here, but I would imagine that the Recon uses a stronger bridge. The adjustments can be made on both sides. They happen right here through these bridge plates, and so you can lengthen or shorten from each side, and to do so is very, very easy. Let's say we were going to lengthen it. All we do is give it a little bit of length, and then we pull it, and it's lengthened. To shorten it, same thing. We just push it up a little bit, grab the tag end, and pull it, and it shortens it. So very easy to make adjustments, and it's adjustable from both sides. So I'm going to give an advantage to the Recon when it comes to the bridge, not only because it's easier to adjust and faster to adjust, you can adjust from both sides, and the tubular webbing bridge can go out to 36 inches, so you've got a longer range of adjustment as well. Let me show you the leg straps on each saddle. The leg straps on the ESS are sewn onto the bottom of the inner panel. They are permanently attached, and then they use a G-hook to hook onto a loop on the D-ring there. So they just slide through, and then you cinch them down. There are webbing keepers on the extra strap, and in my opinion there's a ton of extra length. So these leg straps are going to fit anybody that puts the saddle on. In my experience, these leg straps wear well walking in. You can loosen them up for the walk in. They don't get in the way. Matter of fact, when they're attached, they tend to keep the D-rings positioned away from each other, so you don't have to worry about noise and them clanking around. The Recon has the straps attached through the middle of the panel, so they simply slide through the opening in the vertical support. They're about a 1-inch webbing, maybe 3/4 actually, and they are a plastic configuration. So in order to hook them up, you just run it around your leg and it threads through and then down, and that's all there is to it. So obviously neither one of these is really load rated, but I would give a hands up as far as construction and strength to the ESS. It was in my experience with the Recon that those leg straps, in order to use them well, I almost had to have them all the way out when I was walking in without hardly any tag end left at all. And even then, in order to have them around my legs as I was walking in, I had to wear the saddle super low, which made it prone to sag below my butt. And so that didn't really work out all that well. So for as far as design goes, I'm going to give an advantage to the Eberhart when it comes to leg straps. They just work better. Now, that being said, the advantage for the Recon in that category would be that the Recon leg straps are removable. All you've got to do is grab it and pull it out, and then you don't have leg straps. And that's how I use it. I'm not running leg straps. If you wanted to take them off the Eberhart saddle, you'd literally have to cut them off. So, you know, if you're a leg strap guy, the Eberhart saddle. If you're just going to cut them off, the Recon is probably the way to go there. So let me compare you the waist straps now. The waist straps are totally different and they function totally differently, all right? So on the ESS, the waist belt is stitched into the back panel or the top panel, and it runs all the way around and then connects in the front via a buckle. Now, I don't know if this buckle, who makes it or what the load rating is. It does not say, but it's a very easy to use buckle. You just push it in, and then to release it, you open it. There is tons of length adjustment on the waist belt here. You can see I'm about a 32, 33 inch waist, and I've got almost all of this taken in, and it has nice webbing strap keepers to keep it out of the way. Tons of adjustment over here as well. From a functional standpoint, it's important to note that the waist belt on the ESS pulls on the entire panel. So what that does is it takes the entire panel and cinches the whole panel tight around your body. Literally takes it and pulls it all evenly around, which enables you to put a pouch on here and weight it down and not worry about it sagging, because the belt that is under tension is directly on the opposite side of where your pouch is going to hang. So pouches work much better and the saddle wears in much better than the Recon due to the waist belt design. The waist belt design on the Recon is totally different. It is unique in that it's basically a 1-inch webbing that is sized up to that 2-inch webbing and reinforced in the back, and then it has a plastic tri-glide. That whole piece slides through the bridge plate and attaches right there. It uses Mark's design as a speed buckle, so it's 2 aluminum plates that are cut and anodized. The webbing for the waist belt simply threads up and then back down. To tighten it, all you do is pull it and it cinches tight. To loosen it, you just give it a little bit and it pulls through easy enough. So totally different buckle design. Obviously not load rated, so if you're concerned about strength, the advantage probably goes to the ESS. For speed of adjustment, the Recon is better. That belt adjusts so fast. There is no webbing keeper though, so Tethrd has done a better job with that. But the biggest difference here is the design difference. The Recon, the way that waist belt works, it pulls mostly on these two bridge plates, okay? So it pulls those two bridge plates together, but you can see, even as I move those, the sides in front of the saddle move, but look with the back. The back's not moving at all. And that winds up making a huge difference. What happens is the panels are not under tension when the waist belt is tightened down. So when you go to put a pouch on it and weight it down, it sags. And you got to wear the whole thing all the way above your hips in order to get it to not sag under your butt. And it kind of drove me crazy as I was walking in and out. So when we're talking about the Recon, that is, I think, a big disadvantage. If you're a guy who likes to wear your saddle in and you don't want to worry about the sag, or maybe you've got a waist belt on your backpack, that's going to get in the way and cause problems. And so I think the Tethrd design there is better. Let me flip the saddle over here a little bit. We'll look on the other side. We'll compare kind of the Molle systems and the stitching and the lineman's loops. So the lineman loop on the Tethrd belt is reinforced super well, very stiff. It stays open. It's right on the point of your hips. It doesn't collapse real easy. I mean, it works well. The Recon is reinforced with the tubular webbing. And when you push it open, it stays open, but I've noticed that it's easy to collapse and flatten down. So I'm going to give an advantage to the ESS when it comes to the lineman belt loops. They're stiffer and they stay open better, which I like. Also, they're a lighter color fabric, so they're easier to see in the dark when you go to fish your carabiner through. If you look at the Molle Webbing, both of them have one row of Molle Webbing, and the ESS, you can see, is completely flat all the way around, and it's stitched pretty tight. Okay, that works well with their style pouch. The Recon is a little bit different. It has some raised sections with bigger loops, big enough that you can fit a carabiner through, and then it has some flatter sections that are sewn pretty tight. I kind of like this design, and I wasn't sure how I would feel about it at first, but I've been able to put my pouch right there, and then here I can run a carabiner through there, or I've been putting a night ice gear tie through there and then tying my sticks to it, which works really well because they're right there near the point of your hips, which is where you want your sticks positioned, one on each hip so that they're not clanging into each other. So that works really good. I like the Molle Webbing on the Recon better than I do the ESS. Also here on the back, I want to show you a little bit about the stitching. The stitching for the Recon is just excellent. You can see there the box stitching on the vertical supports, the stitching along the Molle Webbing here. They've got a logo stitched on there. It's just clean. I mean, as I rotate that through, you cannot see a fray or a loose end because there aren't any. This is the best sewing job I've ever seen on a saddle, period, bar none. The ESS, you can see there's some loose ends there. There's loose ends on the Molle Webbing. Down here near the lineman loops, there's loose ends. Coming around, you can see there's just loose ends all over the place. Right, there's a whole bunch of them, and none of this is from wear. These saddles are both practically brand new. I've got a few hunts in each one, and so that's a design thing. So I'm going to give an advantage of the stitching to the Recon overall. It's just done much better and cleaner looking. One other thing I'll mention as far as size here, while we're looking at them side to side, they're both very similar in dimension. This is 5 1/4 inches tall, and the panel on the Recon is 5 1/2 inches tall. The stitching patterns are a little bit different. They've got a double box stitch on each of the vertical support ends and a box stitch in the middle. The Recon has a single box stitch on each end, and then the middle is open to allow the leg straps to go through. So that's just something to note. I couldn't speak to whether one of those, obviously I think if you have double the box stitches, it's probably stronger, but I don't think anybody would see a real world difference. The ESS ships with these plastic clips, which are nice to help keep the straps organized. The Recon does not, but you can buy those online for pretty cheap. So that's just kind of a nice feature that Tethrd's thrown in. So I think that's all I wanted to show you guys about the two saddles while they were laid out here. I'm going to pick them up and we're going to talk through the bridge plates a little bit, and then we're going to kind of do a recap. Okay, I wanted to show you guys kind of the bridge attachment systems on each of these saddles individually because they're unique to each one. So the ESS uses these anodized aluminum D-rings where the bridge loop moves through. One of the advantages here is that the bridge can move through there very smoothly, though I've found it difficult to tell actually when you're in the tree how much it moves. And then the actual panels themselves can move through there very, very easily. One of the, I think, advantages that the ESS has is when you're sitting in the tree and you're trying to adjust the panels, they're easier to adjust than on the Recon. So let me show you here. Let's say your panels weren't lined up and you wanted to get the bottom panel more lined up vertically with the upper panel. All you do is move it, pull it, and it moves super easy through that D-ring without any weight on it. So I think that's an advantage. When you're adjusting the panels, I've found the panels easier to adjust on the ESS. Now the downside, obviously, of this bridge attachment method is that they're metal. They're anodized. Now, you could wrap that with something. I tried vet tape and it restricted the movement of the bridge significantly. I'm going to try hockey tape next, which I think will work better because it's a little bit smoother. But you've got metal D-rings there. You have metal on the tri-glide, and then you have a metal waist belt, and you have metal leg loops. Obviously, when it comes to noise, this saddle is going to be noisier than the Recon, so that's an advantage for the Recon. And I have run into noise. These things have banged. The tri-glide has hit the bridge loops as I've been in the tree. The leg loops have clanged into each other. So there's just more potential for noise from the ESS, and I know that's important to a lot of guys, so that's kind of a mark against the ESS. Let me pick up the Recon and show you its bridge attachment method. Mark has designed these plates, and you can see that the bridge comes into the plates. I showed you guys a little bit about how that threads through there. The waist belt comes and attaches through the plate, and I show you guys how that attaches. And then the panels run through the back end of the plate. So, same thing, I'll show you guys kind of how this, if you were to adjust it in the tree, how much pressure it takes. So I'm pulling on it. You can see, because there's so much force through there, it just doesn't move as freely. And so making on-the-fly panel adjustments in the Recon is a little bit harder than it is in the ESS. So that's a disadvantage of this bridge attachment system. The advantage, though, is that these are rubber coated and they're pretty quiet. Now there is a little bit of squeaking you can get from this waist belt. I've heard of some guys wrapping the waist belt around here with hockey tape and quieting that down. So when it comes to noise, I'm going to give an advantage to the Recon big time. The other thing I'll say is I haven't really seen an advantage to the D-rings when it comes to the bridge loop. Like I mentioned, I don't think that the bridge loop moves a whole lot through that D-ring once you actually put your weight on it. And I don't seem to get hot spots or anything from this bridge attachment being a fixed point. So take that for what it's worth. You know, it's kind of a draw there, but when it comes to noise and compactness, when you put this on and tighten it down, man, it fits around your waist really in a streamlined manner, nothing flopping around. The ESS, when you put it on, those two D-rings are in the front and they kind of flop around and hang down. This thing just snugs down tight and streamlined, and I love that about it. So those are most of the features about the two saddles. Let me just go over some other important things and we'll wrap this up. Location of manufacture. The Recon is made right here in the United States in Florida, and it costs $149.95. And for $149.95, you also get a dump pouch. So that's a nice feature. This is going to cost you $15 to buy Tethrd's version of it. So, you know, $150 with a dump pouch, made in America. Great value when it comes to saddles. The ESS does not come with a dump pouch. It costs $189.99 and it is made in China. Now, that being said, Tethrd is based here in the United States. They have good customer service and support, but I know people do care about country of manufacture, so it's important to note that this is made in China. That being said, Tethrd is known for carrying liability insurance on all their products, and they have sent this saddle as well as every other one of their saddles to an independent lab to have a 300-pound drop test done to make sure that the saddle is safe for use. There is no standard like there is in the tree stand world for safety measurements, but Tethrd has gone out and done independent testing to make sure their saddles are safe to use. So that is important. I cannot speak to whether Treehopper does those things or not. I just don't know. They don't have the information published, and I've never heard anybody say definitively that they do that. So that's probably an advantage to Tethrd. You know that it's been tested, and you know they have liability insurance on each and every one of their products. So they're both great options, guys. I love the two-panel system. I'm a sitter, and I love that it sits right underneath my butt. I get good support. I don't get hip pinch in either saddle, though I will mention that the bridge plates on this and the D-rings both have a tendency to kind of get bunched up right on your hips. You want to make sure that your jacket, it doesn't have anything in the pockets and that it's running through there smoothly. If you've got your jacket bunched up or stuff in your pockets underneath either bridge attachment point, you're going to get a little bit of a hot spot there. It's a minor discomfort, so just make sure that you're not bunched up and you'll be fine. Other than that, these are some of the most comfortable saddles I've ever sat in. And I'll say they work equally good for leaning as they do for sitting. I've tried some other saddles that only work good leaning, and some work better sitting than they do leaning. These both work great for both types of and styles of hunting. So, you know, that's important to me as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you've found some benefit in it. I have a latitude method as well. I'm going to do a review on that and then compare all three two-panel saddles together. I also have a Merlin that arrived today, so I'm excited to get some hunts into that and to show you guys a little bit about that as well. So stay tuned to the channel for more videos, and if you haven't, please like and subscribe. That really helps us out. Thanks for watching the Saddle Hunting channel here on YouTube.